Good evening, and here today's Tropics for September 17th, 2019. Here's a late night update. Uh, just a note, I'm not a meteorologist, and this video is just a collection of my thoughts, opinions about the storms that I'm talking about today. And if for any decision making, please contact National Hurricane Center, your local officials, or your National Weather Service office. Okay, first up we have tropical depression now. It used to be a tropical storm, but a tropical depression, Imelda, which I think pretty much formed almost over Texas. It formed just offshore, probably in part due to frictional convergence and things like that, tightening up the circulation as it started moving towards the shore. And now it's started to move in, and it was named pretty much just on the coast, and now it's moved more inland. So, first off, it's not really a wind threat, so as it only ever got to 35 knots, which isn't too strong, it's mostly a rain threat. As you can see, it wasn't a favorable environment. There's good outflow right here, good anticyclone aloft. So there's that. So you can see why it did end up forming, even ignoring the frictional aspect. That probably did help tighten up the circulation at the last minute. If you go to the water vapor here, you can see again there's a good upper anticyclone, and you can see this trough down here. This is the part of the upper level low that really helped kind of form this storm in a way, as the upper divergence in the eastern Gulf formed this convective area that moved westward in the past few days until it became this storm, as the trough became removed and allowed it to really breathe. So again, this storm isn't really much in terms of like wind. There are some gusts, but the big threat here is rain. As you can see, there's a large area of 6-inch rain totals possible. As you can see, this is the orange here, bad outline, but there it is. And then there's a smaller 10-inch outline here. So this storm is supposed to move slowly as it moves slowly north along the west side of subtropical ridge. So it does stay as a tropical depression, but you can see it doesn't really move all that fast. So here it is right now, and then tomorrow at this time it's going to be here. So that's not much movement in an entire day. So while it does that, this convection here will keep producing that rain, which, given that it's near Houston, it will dump a good amount of rain here. So it looks like a widespread, maybe 10 to 15 inches, locally higher, of course, in heavier thunderstorms, but it's hard to really know until they're happening. So if you're in a flood-prone area, you might want to make sure you're prepared for possible flooding, given that there is a good amount of rain being forecast. So next up, let's look at Hurricane Humberto. So it's moving northeast now. It's now a major hurricane with 150-mile-an-hour winds. So it's coming up northeast here with the trough picking it up. See, it has strengthened, as you can tell. The convection is wrapping much better than it was yesterday. So it's continued to organize, and the eye is becoming a bit less ragged. While it is still ragged, it is organizing at least. So you can see that it's obviously strengthened some, and the reconnaissance flights inside it are agreeing with this, that it has strengthened almost significantly since yesterday. Part of this is due to this upper level outflow here, which is allowing a lot of that mass to be kind of in a way evacuated from the storm, which of course, removes air from this area, which lowers the pressures. And the winds have had trouble catching up with that, but the pressures have gotten low enough that the winds are almost forced to speed up to uh, get into this lower pressure. As you can see, there's still that area of upper divergence also here, which is fueling this convection, or not really convection, but uh, the cooler cloud tops in this area with rising air. If we look at the recon in the storm, it has been moved. Humberto's been moving a bit faster eastward now. You can see it in the last three vortex data messages. It has moved a good bit east, and the pressure seems to have steadied now. It was about 960 last flight, but then this one found much lower pressures around 950 millibars. Since then, it's remained rather steady around just above 950 millibars. And you can see there's numerous wind barbs at over 100 over Category 3 strength at flight level. There has been some evidence from dropzone data and some SFMR data that there is some of this wind at the surface, so this is why it has been upgraded to a Category 3 major hurricane. If you look at the cone here, I guess not. So Bermuda here, just until recently, actually had a hurricane warning. It seems to have been dropped, but given that the cone is very close and it's passing by in a bit less than 24 hours, it's likely there will be some impacts, as the wind field is relatively large, as you can see. So it's likely that the island will see some rather strong winds. Depends if it tracks a bit more to the south. There's a possibility for closer to hurricane force winds, but it depends on the track. But a direct hit looks less likely, given that it's not quite in the cone anymore. It's a bit to the south. So yeah, if you have any interest here, or if you live in Bermuda, you might want to just be prepared for at least some like low-end tropical storm force winds at the very least. But we'll see how things go. So it's just a track northeast, or more east-northeastward, and then to the north more as the trough leaves and it starts traveling more of the northwestern edge of the subtropical ridge, and then by Friday another trough picks it up. It becomes extratropical and then speeds off to the east towards kind of in the general direction of Europe. So it'll obviously be weakening here. You can see it's tropical storm force. It might even dissipate before there, but it is heading that way. If we look at Tropical Depression 10, so that's the next storm, it's a bit busy, as you can see. There is an extremely vigorous convective burst actually right now. Like you can see it's pretty huge. And it just appeared around about 23Z September 17th, so that was about 4 hours ago, 4.5, it depends when you're watching this. Yeah, and you can see like this is pretty big. There's a lot of negative 80 degree Celsius convection or cloud top temperatures here, which is pretty significant. It's kind of surprising in a way that it was kept as a tropical depression at the 11 p.m. advisory. There was an ASCAP pass that showed 30 knot winds rather than 35 that it looked like they were originally going to go with. But it seems that it's probably on its way, if not a tropical storm already, given the very strong convection is likely bringing some kind of wind to the surface, which would mean this would become a tropical storm. So as you can see, there's been a big change in the thermodynamics of the main development region. This tropical wave hasn't had quite as much of a problem developing as the previous ones have, and this extremely intense convection, especially in this part of the basin, is another sign that you're not seeing that dry sinking air and subsidence that you were seeing a lot, even with Dorian earlier this season. This is likely due to more favorable subseasonal kind of indicators like convectively coupled Kelvin waves. There's one coming in now, and it's helping enhance this convection. So yeah, the thermodynamics have improved quite a lot. Now the thing, not it's not quite perfect though. You can see this. There's this large like slug of dry air to the north and west of Tropical Depression 10. So if it does entrain any of this dry air in its circulation or the core, then this convection will collapse and it won't be able to strengthen as much. But given that shear is low, you're not getting a lot of that like shearing flow that would really allow that dry air to be forced into the storm. So it does have a chance to kind of fend for itself if the shear is low by moistening the column above it with its own convection. As in the low shear environment, you're not getting dry air convection towards the upper and mid levels. And you can see that, yeah, there's good outflow here, so you're not dealing with westerly shear for sure. It looks like a lot of the easterly shear is abating too, as there's a bit of upper level outflow in that area. So looking at the National Hurricane Center cone, see it's likely to head west-northwest, a bit north of the Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles. So, and there's a hints of a trough coming from the north around 5 days, which will curve it north and hopefully lead it more out to sea, as we don't really want to see more impacts in the Bahamas or any impacts in the U.S. or really anywhere, because yeah, just impacts aren't very good. So the intensity also depends, or the track also depends on the intensity, because the ridging is different at different levels. Typically, you see with stronger storms, they tend to go more north, and generally more north because of increased beta effect, which kind of drives the system to go west northwest or northwest. So typically, you see a stronger storm maybe go this way, and then the weaker storms stay within the more easterly flow and go south. Well, it's not really the case with this storm. There is that more east-southeast flow with the lower levels, which would steer 10 in this direction if it does stay weak. However, the wind is more out of the east-northeast or even northeast at height. So that means if the storm is stronger, it feels a bit more of that northeasterly kind of flow, and thus won't move as much east-southeasterly, so it might move more like due west. So it means if the storm is stronger, then it does go to the more south part of this cone, which is unfortunate, because if it does end up being stronger, then it has better chance to affect these islands that as a stronger storm. And a lot of these were impacted during the 2017 season, and they still could do without one for a long while. So hopefully it doesn't end up stronger in forecast, or if it does, it manages to not end up south and misses land. So yeah, there are some impacts possible here, obviously, but we'll have to see as there have been some north trends recently, but once we really see the system get more organized, then we should uh, lock in on a better track. But if you are in like the northern, uh, like Lesser Antilles or the Greater Antilles, maybe west of Haiti or east of Haiti, then you might just want to watch this one just in case it does do any kind of funny business, uh, as there are always impacts possible if you're near the cone or in the cone. Uh, so yeah, just keep an eye on that if you're there. Anyway, that's about it for tonight. Uh, as you may notice, I'm using a new kind of dark red color. I'm not sure if you have any feedback about that. I'd appreciate it. It's better contrast than, say, the teal slash fluorescent kind of blue I was using earlier. And contrast is good because you can see it. You don't want the arrow or whatever I'm drawing to be really obscured by the colors. So yeah, again, if you have feedback, I'd appreciate that. And I hope you have a good rest of your night. And thanks for watching.